Episode 11, Infinite Volume,
This is episode
Aoashi.
12.
Episode 12,
This is, I mean,
Infinite
actually, including the book
The
reviews,
quiz
I
one.
think it's more than that.
Episode 15, Infinite
Okay.
Volume, Aoashi check-in episode. So, we've been reading Aoashi for almost 2 months, right? I say reading in quotation marks because I,
Yeah,
for
it's
one,
been about
haven't
that long.
been reading
Something like that, yeah.
that much. But, yeah, it's cool. I like it. Definitely think it's a good manga. Not, in my opinion, it's not as good as Haikyuu. And I'm sure everyone that has ever listened to one of the episodes could garner that much from what I've said in the past. But anyway, what do you guys think about it, Jaden? What are your thoughts on Aoashi? I know
So-
you actually let Nate say it first because you watched the anime.
Okay.
So you have a different perspective on it than we do.
So soccer was my first, sport that I ever really liked growing up. And that was pretty much the only sport I liked growing up for a long time. And I've brought up in the past on the podcast, I'm not really a sports guy in general. So this manga kind of has a little bit of a special place in my heart, but I agree. I think in terms of sports manga, so far Haikyuu reigns supreme. That being said, I think it's really solid. Like, I like a lot of what Aoashi does. We'll get into it, but there's one glaring issue with it that drives me insane.
And now that you mention that, I realize that IQ literally has none of what you're
There is,
bringing with
yeah,
Aoashi. There's one
there's one
instance.
segment.
Well,
Yeah,
technically, there's one recurring thing, but it's more for comedy rather than actually a story, like a plot point.
yeah.
But anyway, Jaden, what are your thoughts on Aoashi?
So, I have not watched Haikyuu or read Haikyuu, but from the sports anime that I've watched, because I don't really read a lot of sports manga, so this is the top one.
Understandably
I think
so.
it's
fair.
extremely underrated.
That I
Blue
will
Lock,
give.
Blue Lock does not deserve all the spotlight that it has
Exactly.
because Awashi, in my opinion, just is better in terms
Yeah,
of concept wise.
Aoashi with the anime, it got unlucky with the release because I think it came out like in the spring, and then Blue Lock came out like in the summer, or it was like
Wait,
one
they
came
came
out.
out the same year?
I'm pretty sure they came out same year, just in different seasons.
Wow. I thought
Or it
Blue
was
Lock
like
came out
with
way further past
No,
Awashi.
the animes. The animes.
the
did.
animes.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I still thought I was under the impression that Blue Lock came out, I don't know, maybe like a year ago, and Awashi maybe 3 years ago, but
The anime came out fall 2022, and then that's Blue Lock.
Anime was
Aoshi's.
April 9th of 2022 for
dude,
Aoashi.
COVID ruined
So yeah, it was
everything
so
there.
it was like a
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough for him.
and I think Blue Lock already had that hype to it before. Like when Aoshi was premiering. at the
Aoashi
time.
is a much more grounded
Yeah, it's
experience
much
compared to Blue Lock. So
it's
Blue Lock
much
kind of
more
has
realistic.
that anime edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Slam Dunk versus Kuroko no Basket. One of them is more superpower based, and one of them is more
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
just
realistic
basic
and
basketball, or real basketball, I should say.
not to say that there isn't, superpowers and stuff in Aoashi in air quotes.
Yeah. But I think
There's
they do
definitely
it like Haikyuu does it, where it's definitely possible for anything that happens in that manga to happen in real life.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you haven't seen Tachibana's goal yet.
All right, bro.
But
Yeah, exactly. I'm at about chapter 80 right now. So I'd say maybe
yeah,
77.
let's
Being
clear up where we're all at. So Logue's around the 80 mark. I am at 152, I think. And Jay, what,
I'm
like
at
120-ish?
123.
27. Oh, sorry.
123? Gotcha. Or right about where the anime, the first season ends.
A little bit after where the first season ends.
So, yeah.
We're a bit all over the place, but we got like the basic gist under our belts here. What direction you guys want to take it in, Logue? What do you want to discuss? First and foremost with Aoashi.
I think I would like to discuss I don't want to say character tropes, but the sort of niches that the characters fall into and how they compare to other mangas. But more specifically, other sports mangas, but just any mangas in general could kind of work. But for an example of what I'm referencing, Otomo being the sort of Tanaka, if you will, where he's really integral to the team or story, even, where he helps out the main character a bunch. And he's also, I would say Otomo's the comedic relief of Aoashi. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
That's fair.
Otomo.
I was struggling to piece together what you like where you were drawing the connection, and I was like, oh wait, they're both like fucking slime balls near girls.
Yeah, and also they're jealous when other people are have a relationship.
Yeah.
And then fucking they both also have the most or the craziest hair on their teams. Tanaka's the bald man and or I guess buzz cut man, and Otomo's the green hair man.
The green hair.
Yeah, which is kind of insane.
Otomo,
when Jaden first brought that up, I was not expecting that.
Funny thing, I just clicked on his thing on my anime list. Apparently, we share the same birthday.
Oh hell yeah,
bruh.
So I share my birthday with him and Luffy.
Oh, okay. Can you search up April 27th?
I just clicked on the character.
Oh, okay.
I can try to figure that out.
No, that's fine. Actually, yeah, while Nate gives his thoughts on some of the goated or not so goated character niches, then you can
I don't have any particular thoughts on the character niches in general. I was going to mention that Otomo and I think Togashi were my favorites. And if we were going off of like not generic but like typical character roles, like if Otomo's like the strategist, then Togashi's like the meathead.
Yeah.
I liked they both filled those roles really well. Togashi specifically, because he was like a smart meathead. Like whenever the story focused on him for more than like a chapter, it became pretty obvious that he knew more than was. How do I phrase this? So like, whenever something would happen plot related, that was multi-layered and multifaceted, and you think Togashi would like blow a fuse or like just not want to take part in it, he actually like would go out of his way to like take a calmer route or like just beat out people's expectations and really apply himself to the situation, which I appreciated for that character archetype, because I feel like the I don't want to say the thug, the like the delinquent, character in stories like this typically are just hot-headed, and that's really their only gimmick. They don't usually get so much character depth. But with Togashi, like with with him and his experience with the Asperian youth players, who have been there since like the start of their
I came up
soccer
through the
career.
academy.
Yeah, and then which, by the way, Logue still doesn't have context for. We get that stuff like after the
On how the whole structure works.
The Musashino match. No, his like relationship with
Oh,
fuck, what's the character's name? Asari and little bowl cut kid. I can't remember it. Kuroda.
Mm.
Um and the redhead like defense player. But those you don't really get to see the full like what happened between them until after that main match happens. And during that main match, it's really when they like, you know, start to get along more.
Mm.
Uh, and like it's a situation where like you can kind of see both sides, and not one is particularly wrong, but you like, despite Togashi being like typical stuck up, like doesn't want to give in because he's too hot headed character about that uh situation that played out between them, like you respect him for it by the end of it anyways, based on how he chooses to approach it once the time finally comes to, you know, it's do or die on it. It's fun. It's cool. Again, I like both him and Otomo a lot. I like the whole cast, really. There wasn't anyone on the main team that I was like, man, these characters are really grinding my gears.
Yeah, they have a good or a way of making generic characters unconventionally important, especially with the quote unquote villain characters or just
Mm,
antagonists, because at this, especially when Ao first gets switched to defense, and it's not Asari, but it's one of the upperclassmen that's like leading the defense. That's
Takashima, I think. Let me double check that though.
maybe the
I
one
think
that
it's Takeshi.
says he has a
Yeah, it's
different.
Takashima.
Okay, yeah. So he has the two personalities basically, where
Yep.
he's really going at it in the match, and then as soon as he's out of the match, it's just, hey, you should do this instead next time. He because they set him up in that match. You don't really know a lot about him until after that match. So the way they portray him when you first meet him makes it seem like you're not gonna like him at all, and then immediately afterwards they're just like, he's a cool guy, and you just have to accept it and agree that he's a cool guy. I like the way they flip the script.
Yeah, they do that a lot for the whole team. Like the whole team is just kind of like at opposition with each other throughout most of the story, but like over the course of it, they all just start to like click really well, and it's fun to watch
I think that's
without
more of
getting rid of that edge.
I think that's more of just a chemistry thing when it comes to, at least I would assume it's all team sports, but like when someone new comes in, they just don't always like mesh well with the team, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah,
And like a lot of the guys on the team, they're all new for the most part. Like a bunch of the guys were
especially on
new
Team
coming
B.
in. Yes, yeah, the B team specifically. So like a lot of those guys, there was no chemistry between them, and we kind of see that in like the earlier matchups.
Yeah,
Like they kind of struggle to get going, but then um as you go through, you'll see the chemistry get better, and they start playing better.
mm.
Yeah. While we're talking about characters specifically, Loga brought up antagonist characters. Akutsu's fucking awesome. I I was very pleasantly surprised with how much of an asshole he was.
Is that the guy that
That's the
knees and
bald
elbows
guy.
everybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I
Um
figured. I don't remember his name because I ruled him out of my mind because he was such a fucking
piece of
bitch.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He I won't say he gets the at least where I'm at right now. He hasn't like come around, but he's definitely like, it's gotten to a point where you respect him for like what he's doing. Uh there's a match in the 100s where the spoilers, Aoashi gets into A team. Oh, who would have
Nah,
seen that coming?
I thought he was still in B team at like chapter
Well,
400.
yeah, through all
Well,
400 chapters.
imagine if it was just the B team the whole time. Um, Ashi gets subbed in his first match on the bench on A team, and
Uh-oh.
Well, we lost Nate.
Technical
Oh.
difficulties.
You back?
yeah, I wasn't even aware I was gone.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
you just
your
like
mic cut out.
faded.
You went,
Where
and
where
then
did I cut out?
nothing.
I didn't say anything.
In the 100s, there's Al
Oh.
gets subbed in, and that's where
Yeah.
you cut out pretty
Oh,
much.
Jesus Christ. Okay, he gets subbed in his first match in A team, and Akutsu at first is like super like he's just ignoring him, and he gets like chewed out by Fukuda, which by the way, just side tangent, Fukuda is a really cool character. We'll
Mhm.
talk more about him at some point, I'm sure. But Akutsu like he doesn't put aside his difference with Ashi, but he's still like after getting chewed out on the sidelines, he's like he starts giving commands to Ashi that he would give to anyone else on the team, and you find out that he's like a super strategic defensive player that like knows the ins and outs of defense so well that he can like play unconventionally. And it like teaches Ashi some more fundamentals about playing fullback and stuff, which was super
They,
cool.
they foreshadowed that when he was told to ask Akutsu for advice on how to play defense the second he got switched to it.
Yep.
And then he basically just said, "Fuck you, you shouldn't be here." And
The you saw that page, right? Where like it's like the full page spread and Ashi goes up to Akutsu in like
and
the
he like
locker rooms. Is that
bows.
what we're
Yeah,
talking about?
Yeah.
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 And that was
That's
a
what I'm
banger
talking about.
scene. They set up that Akutsu, Ashi, and Kuribayashi are like the three like the big three for the future of Esperion. I haven't really I'm starting to see the fruits of that now where I'm at. Um I'm excited to see where it goes from there with the inclusion of everyone else from B team. But let's quickly talk about I mentioned it and we haven't really talked about it. Let's talk about the plot twist with Ashi going to
Defense.
fullback. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your Jay? What was
Yeah.
your experience with that take?
I think because I watched the anime first. Um, at first it didn't really make sense. I thought he would fit more in. Yeah, I thought he would fit better as more of a center mid,
Mhm.
just because of the way that he's able to see the pitch. But now, as like reading the manga, and then after watching the whole series, the whole season, it kind of works out because he's still able to make those runs up the pitch when he needs to as a fullback, and he's able to send in crosses, and then with the fullback position, he's able to just kind of, I don't know how to explain, but like it's more like the way he looks at the field, it's more of like a cone shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of where it's like if he's playing center mid, he's got to look at the whole pitch in a 360.
In
With him
a
playing fullback, he can mainly cut off behind him.
in that match I was talking about in A team, towards the back end, there's a scene where Kuribayashi like is looking for a pass out option and
Hmm.
he doesn't see one for a second and he's like, "Oh, well, I can't expect anyone to really show up for that. I guess I'll just play it safe for this last minute." And then Ashi like shows up in that opening, and I think that's what Fukuda was like really aiming for with that positional switch. Was just because Ashi's situational awareness was so high because his like sense of the field and the pitch is so high. Um that he's able to be there for their star player when he needs to. So I think it makes a ton of sense. I'm happy that we got to see Ashi like be an egoist for a little bit, and then swap to having to struggle being a fullback. It was cool. It's like when we get like an overpowered character in a manga, but then watching them like midway through the manga just like get reset to 0. I feel like we've never really seen that before.
I mean, I can name another sports manga where we have seen that, but I'll hold my
Okay.
tongue.
Well, when does that happen in Haikyuu?
When they first, no spoilers for Jaden, when they first take the L against
Wait, you
Yeah.
love the game?
Oman,
What?
and they realize that they can't use the eyes closed spike anymore, and then they take many L's during the training camp,
Yeah,
and they have to rework their entire.
that's a bit different though for me because it's not like Hinata completely he switches the way he plays, but not his position on the court, if that makes sense.
So you're
Like,
saying
he's
if
still the spiker. He's still,
yeah,
like he does switch I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. He's switching up positionally where he's playing, but, like, the mentality and the mentality, it's weird, it's more nuanced than that, I guess, because Ashi, or at least the way for volleyball, Hinata's able to fill a lot of different gaps on the court because the court's, like, not
rotate.
as big as a pitch.
Oh
But for
yeah,
Ashi, he's like stuck on an island playing fullback, whereas when he could play forward, he could really just do whatever he wanted and feel like he wasn't impacting the game all that much. And he was able to get to where he needed to.
Yeah, because
that
with
makes
him
sense.
playing fullback too, if he pushes up too much, he leaves the giant space behind him.
Yeah, his everything about how he played got flipped on its head. Whereas with Hinata,
Hinata.
he was already doing what he was supposed to be doing. He just didn't have the fundamentals yet. Like, he didn't
Yeah,
understand how he was accomplishing what he was accomplishing.
yeah, because
And
he wanted to play middle blocker from the beginning. It's not like he got put on libero
yeah,
after the
exactly.
switch.
Yeah, if Hinata had been put on libero
He was like,
after his
"Yeah, you
spiking
suck
stuff,
at
that would be
spiking, bro.
similar.
You're on defense." Then that would make more sense. Yeah. Okay, then we've still yet to see that in a sports manga. At least that we've read.
Yeah, it's been cool. It's been cool. Fukuda's kind of an asshole, but
Nah, I don't think he's an
he's a cool
asshole. I think
character
he's an experienced player
player. Yeah,
that
Yeah.
saw potential, and I think the real MVP is I forgot the other coach's name.
Oh, Nomori, I think. Date. Nozomi
Nozumi.
Date.
Nozomi,
Yeah.
yes. That's his name. Yeah, he's the real MVP because
Facts.
he didn't want to make Ao a fullback any at all. He didn't want to take him in the beginning. And then as soon as he got taken in and he saw that he had potential and he was training him on offense, he was so freaking messed up in the head after Fukuda was like, "Yeah, you're gonna be the one. It's gonna happen. That it's gonna happen. Right,
Mm.
right around this time." Fukuda just knows everything that's gonna happen because he's played the game before.
I think it's
And
because he's lived there.
yeah, exactly. So I think he's not an asshole. He's just doing what needs to be done, even though he knows it's gonna hurt. So in reality, he's the most integral character. Because
No,
imagine
for
if
sure.
Al stayed on offense
He wouldn't
and
have reached his full potential.
exactly. Or imagine if he was not there to begin with and Ao just went back home.
Well, I wouldn't even have gone the tryout.
That's true, actually.
That's true.
That's true.
Fukuda's had his little grubby mitts on everything that's happened.
All right, well, let's
Mhm.
not get into that
He's a
territory.
mastermind.
Grubby mitts?
Grubby mitts and a
Grubby
child.
mitts.
That's not a good.
Well,
Oh,
well, you brought it there.
I
Well,
didn't. You brought it there.
let me bring it somewhere else.
Please
Um,
do.
Can we talk about Kuribayashi? So I've mentioned him
I've
already
seen
in the
5
episode.
panels of this man.
Yeah, they don't super go in a lot of detail about him until after the match that you're about to get to, Log, for Murashino. But he's super cool. He's essentially, this is my read of it. He is so far mastered into Ashito's like super sight gimmick, right? That he's essentially operating on Ultra Instinct at all times, and he's so in his own head about it that other people just like get the wrong impression of him because he's basically seeing like moments ahead into the future at all times. So like when somebody talks to him and he feel like he just ends a conversation prematurely, or like he says everything he needs to say in a conversation and then walks away, people are like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess he's not a people person." Whereas it's like in reality, he's already seen and knows what the conversation's gonna be when somebody comes up to him, so he just like spews out everything he needs to say and then he moves on.
Hmm.
Super interesting character. Like his fuck, I wish I took a screenshot of the page, but there's a chapter where him and Aoshi sit down together on a bench, and Kuribayashi was like, "Well, I was asked by Hannah, we'll get to it, to give you some like play advice, and I'm not really the best person
nope. We
Oh,
lost Nate again.
technical
to it worse."
difficulties.
Oh my god.
He's
They're
not the best
sabotaging
person.
me.
They don't want you to talk about. No, it's because Kuribayashi knew exactly what you were
Yeah,
gonna say,
Kuribayashi
so
was
he
like, I
cut
don't
you
even
off
bother.
and said,
Yeah.
"Just move on to the Hannah, the love triangle."
Um, so stupid. Kuribayashi's like, I'm not the best person to explain this in words, but if you can read this, and then he hands Ashi his like his note taking like book for when he's in matches, in like in between matches, like in the locker room and stuff. He's
Mhm.
like, if you can understand this, then that's a start. And Ashi flips through it for like 2 seconds as Kuribayashi's walking away, and he's like, no, I totally get it. And Kuribayashi's like, what? Huh?
Yeah,
Um,
they're more alike than he thinks before
yeah.
he talks to him.
And then Kuribayashi says, he's like, "Ow, what do you want to do by playing soccer?" And Ashi's like, "Well, I want to be a professional player. I want to be a pro. I want to make it pro." And Kuribayashi's like, "See, I don't understand that. I want to be the best. I want to be the player people talk about when they talk about the best."
That's crazy. He said he
Yeah,
wants to be Ronaldo.
basically,
Exactly.
Messi fans.
Kuribayashi has crazy aura, dude. Like I'm a Kuribayashi fan, I think, until the day I die. That character is
You
so
should
cool.
you should make a Sigma edit for the Infinite Volume TikTok
Christ.
of Kuribayashi.
Um, maybe.
Well,
Unfortunately, unless Jay, do you have anything else positive character relation
Um,
before we talk about the elephant in the room?
sh- no, I think we can talk about the elephant in the room because what
Okay,
I
okay.
have has to do with that.
So I mentioned it at the start. I have one major gripe with Aoashi that kind of like puts a damper on the entire thing for me anytime it pokes its head up. I don't think the love triangle has any, or like the relationship stuff really has any place in the manga for me. Like it doesn't really do anything for me specifically, and anytime it shows up, it feels like it drags the pacing down immensely. It just feels
See,
like a filler stopgap.
I think it's kind of just like an aside thing. Maybe
I
that's
wish it
that's part of
wasn't a
like
side thing. It
where
like impacts so much of the story.
because it can
because
be done without
I kind
being
of have a feeling something's gonna
mad.
happen later on in the story with
Like
that.
what?
That people are gonna be like, oh yeah, like yeah, he's gonna have a bad game or something. Not even for like the U teams. Maybe he makes it all the way up to the main roster. He's gonna go up to the main roster, have a really terrible game, and people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he only got this because he's dating Fukuda's sister."
I see.
Spoilers?
Oh, sorry,
I'm
my
kidding.
bad.
What?
I'm kidding. I'm
Spoilers?
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I said you could spoil. I kind of figured it was going that way anyway. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think he
but you
really
know
bats
that
an
Hannah
Well,
eye.
that's
is
what
her
you would
sis
think
is
because it makes
Fukuda's
the
sister, right?
most sense.
You
Yeah,
knew that part. Okay,
they tell
I
you that
couldn't
like right off
remember.
the rip.
Okay, because I couldn't remember where that came out.
Yeah, that's in the first
Um,
couple
chapters.
volumes.
Yeah. I if it was just Hannah and Ashi, I wouldn't care as much. But when Henri, the like sponsor girl, shows up, which she in her own right is a cool character. I like her character a lot. But when her and Hannah like butt heads over Ashi is where I'm like, why? Like Henri doesn't have any real reason to like Ashi the way Hannah does. At least not with the setup we got. So it feels because Logue, you said you're at about chapter 80, and you
Yeah.
haven't even really seen that yet.
No.
Yeah, it pretty much crops its head up around there, and it's like, for why though? Like, just let the two have it.
Oh,
Yeah. The only.
okay,
What?
I know what you're talking about now. Sorry.
The only other time I got any glimpse of that love triangle happening was when they went to eat after losing the match, and then or they came back or whatever, and then they were watching Kuribayashi play on the TV, and Henri said, "Why don't you look at how he plays? Just study it." And then she saw him just watching it really intently and smiled. And I was like, "Oh, okay, so she wants him."
Yeah.
But
It
wait a minute. Unless now I'm mixing stuff up, because I'm pretty sure I remember seeing something, or she mentioned it, that she wanted to be a coach.
yes.
You're talking
Mhm.
about the daughter of the CEO, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her whole thing is she wants to be a coach as well.
Which is cool. And I like that. I specifically I like that Togashi and her have like a love-hate relationship where like Togashi has to like admit that she knows what she's talking about to a certain degree.
Hmm.
Those like interactions are cool. Her we also there's so many characters that it's hard to like hit them all during a like check-in like this, but
Yeah.
Mm.
the kid with like the super spiky hair, Yuma, he's fun. I like him a lot. He doesn't really have any flaws. Like the whole bit with
Is
him is
he her brother?
anytime. No, the you might think he's her brother though. It's the kid with like the he has like the cat face on all the time. Like he's just like
Talking
a
about
shitter. Hold on, I can
wait,
drop
hold
it
up.
in the podcast
Okay.
channel.
Because I'm thinking of the guy that was first introduced. Yeah, yeah, that's the guy that first saw Ao when he got there, right? And he said, "Oh, Asari's just a bit of
Yeah.
a bummer." Yeah, yeah, I remember him.
Well,
He's
that's
cool.
either him or that was Kuroda, but I can't
I don't think it
remember.
was Kuroda. I am pretty sure it was Yuma.
Yuma's a banger. I think his character's a lot of fun. Uh, he doesn't really do a whole lot for the plot though, which is kind of a shame.
I mean, he
Like
was
I
me too.
said, the whole bit is that he's just kind of like really good, and he doesn't really have any major. There's a segment where Fukuda's like privately teaching a couple of the B teamers, and Yuma's like helping out. And when he's giving like individual instruction to everyone, he goes up to Yuma. He's like, "I have no notes for you."
Dang, high praise
High
from
praise.
the man himself. All right, well, there's the elephant in the room.
Yeah. We can go back to shitting on the love triangle stuff. I hate it.
Wait, what?
It's annoying. Was that not the
Oh.
elephant in the room?
No, but I was saying like
Oh, do you
now
mean
that
if
we've
we're
talked
like?
about it.
I see. Well, hold on. Before we move to that, I know I get. Sorry, I get where you're coming from now. Um, is there anything else we want to bring up about Aoashi in general? Because I have one major scene that I would like to talk about, or like one major aspect that I really liked. But I'll save it if someone else has another point they want to bring up.
Dude,
No, I know.
then you're free to go.
Okay. The starting arc before Ashi even goes to the tryouts, I thought was pretty good. I thought it was a great setup for the story.
Hmm.
His relationship with his mom, and then like being on the train and the like
Hmm.
letter and stuff he gets from her, and like the shoes, like that was super cool.
Yeah, that was
Um,
insane. I have screenshots of those panels. And I thought it
yeah,
was awesome.
I that is like the perfect introduction to like the level of emotion that we get out of the rest of the series. Like there's that arc sets up a lot of like the funny stuff that happens, a lot of like the Ashi character interactions, how he as a character interacts with people. Um and then we get a lot of the like smaller drama between games in that arc, and then it culminates in that like one big moment, and then we get like the tryout section, which is like the game in air quotes, like the big reward for making it through that. And like the manga kind of follows that pacing for the rest of its runtime, at least so far. Um, which is a good and a bad thing, right? Like I like it. I think it keeps it simple. Um, and there's not a whole lot more you can really do. That I shouldn't say that because there's like infinite possibilities, right? But
Yeah.
um, for a sports manga, people want to see games, people want to see the characters interacting with each other,
Hmm.
and people want to see big emotional beats. Uh, that good old haiku effect, and Ashi kind of hits all those marks. It just kind of gets dragged down by the Hannah stuff, unfortunately. The Hannah is a cool character. It's just annoying that it goes back and forth between her and Ashi all the time. Um, but if no one else has anything else to say, uh, we now have to decide whether or not we want to continue reading Aoashi, because Aoashi has like 400 chapters,
Yeah.
which is a lot. That is admittedly a lot. Um,
In the grand scheme of things, it's not really that much, but if we're
Compared
on
to some other series that we
yeah,
have.
yeah.
but if we're trying to do multiple, you know,
We want to hit
book
as
clubs,
many different book clubs as
yeah,
Yeah.
possible. That is to say, like, I also want to finish as many book clubs as possible.
Yeah.
Like, if
yeah,
I don't want to, if we're all really enjoying a story, I don't want to put a pin on it because um we want to get on to like the next big thing. Because I feel like we miss out on a lot of like good opportunities that way.
yeah.
Uh, and a lot of good like learning experiences. But in the case of Aoshi, I probably will continue reading it on my own, since I've already started it. But I think in terms of the podcast, I'm pretty satisfied leaving it where it's at for us.
That's kind of where
I
I'm
agree.
at too. I think we could put it like back on the list as like we go back to it at a later date.
Fair.
And I think also for me too, it's like this time of the year, it's the end of the soccer season for the
Oh, I see. So,
For
so
Europe.
now you have no,
So
you don't
like
care.
I'm starting to like shut down, but then it's gonna start right back up in a month because like now we have the Club World Cup next month.
I
But
mean,
the real season doesn't start till like
Ashi took
August.
us pretty much right up until rematch coming out, which is, I mean, that's all.
Like a
That's
couple
all we
weeks,
can
huh?
ask. That
Yeah.
yeah, like 2 weeks from now, I think 2 or
Well,
3
next
weeks.
week is the beta, and then 3 weeks, like 3.5 weeks.
It's like the
Or
19th, right? Or
Yeah,
before
Yeah,
that,
so
if
a
technically,
couple
like we
weeks.
get access on
Yeah,
like the
but
17th or the
21
16th.
days is 7 weeks. I mean, 7 weeks, fucking 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So technically, it's 3 weeks away.
Okay.
The timing for us reading Aoashi couldn't have been better. As a group of friends who are is really enjoying Rematch. I would think I'll hold a special place in my heart for it. I think it might be my favorite soccer manga going forward. I don't know if I'll like Blue Lock more. That being said, I'm fine putting a bookmark in it for now.
Yeah, I alluded to my thoughts at the beginning, saying you can spoil whatever you want.
Yeah.
But well, I guess
I
before
started
we
to just like
started the
going
recording,
into it after you said that too. I was like, I'm
'cause
just gonna let her rip.
there was a point where I wanted to read more, and then eventually it just got to the point where I kind of just wanted to switch to something else, but obviously was waiting until
Yeah.
we did this. But it just didn't. And not to say that it's bad or anything, because I really liked it, but it just didn't have that, I guess, that grasp
I
that
definitely
really
think,
caught me.
like, I know, like, when we do get One Piece, we're gonna break it up into the arcs.
See, that's my
I
thing.
think,
I think that won't happen. I genuinely think we're gonna start One Piece and we're gonna go a long time without stopping One Piece.
well, let me then. What we have plans for
We
One
yeah,
Piece
we have it.
is to go for
We
each
have
arc.
like checkpoints for it, but I
I
think
think,
what'll happen is we'll want to keep going for a bit.
yeah,
But who
and
knows?
I
That could
think
change.
we should have done that with Aoashi.
That is what we're doing with Aoashi right now.
Yeah, but I think,
We're at the
but
checkpoint.
you know what?
But
Like,
I get what you're
okay,
saying. Like
we
setting up
went
check.
through like 6, 7 arcs, or so, and
Yeah.
then we went through the first saga. At least the two of us, we went through the first saga and a half.
Yep.
Logan made it through the first saga. I'm pretty sure.
About there, yeah.
I would say that first match, that first rematch with the tryout guys was like the end of
Rematch?
the first saga. Rematch? Rematch mentioned? But
Um,
I think like I said, I think it's a good stopping point. So One Piece is a little different as like a example for checkpoints, right? Because One Piece, first off, I'm already 100% caught up with One Piece.
yeah,
I haven't read the manga all the way through from beginning to end, but in between all the anime I've watched a ton of, I've played a ton of the games. I do read the manga now, like the current chapters. I've been up to date for years on that. So I have a baseline for where it is best to like cut us off. And there's also like such a great resource online. Like there's a website that has there's so many websites that have like where different
One
arcs
Piece.
end and like where to pick up from and all that. Uh so for that it's a little different and a bit easier to set checkpoints up. Without Ashi, we outside of you, there wasn't really,
Yeah,
and you had only watched the anime up to a certain point. So you weren't really sure like what the best places to stop and go were.
yeah,
And we didn't know there were 400
Yeah, we didn't know there were
yeah. We
400
didn't know that.
chapters
I
going
thought
on
there
there.
was. Not gonna lie, I thought there was a lot less. I thought there was like at most 250. I did not realize it was 400.
Yeah.
That is my bad.
Um,
I admit that.
what did we never mind, never mind. I was gonna bring something up, but I answered my own question. Um, I have the wheel up. I Man, this is gonna be so
Yep.
lame. I do not feel like pulling up the OBS recording for it.
That's okay. You can edit
Uh,
it in post. Just re-roll it until you get a recording of
yeah,
it.
I'll
Tomorrow.
snip the I'll take a screenshot of what we hit. Sorry, viewers at home. I'm a lazy bastard.
This guy.
Um, I'll hold on. At least for you two, so you can vouch for me. I'll pull up the stream.
Do you have thing on Discord where we can clip it?
No.
Nah, it's
Oh
okay.
damn.
He'll screenshot it. Damn, there's a
Um,
lot on here, bro.
there is a lot on here.
Did
That's what
we
you
add
want.
Can
any
I
more?
can I
Yeah, I
add?
was gonna
I
say,
was
can we?
about to
Yeah,
say
I was gonna say, do we have additions? Because I would love to
I would
keep the
like
list
to
going.
add Mob Psycho 100.
That's a good one.
Understood.
Yeah.
because
Looks
I
like
just looked at my
100.
display of it and I was like, kind of want to read that.
Try and think.
I'm gonna hit a fat blame on there. I can't believe that's not already on that list.
I mean, I can't blame you for doing that.
Yeah. This is a super cool one.
Then if you two added one, let me add one myself.
Okay.
We're gonna do this every time. And then
Yeah,
I
we'll
have
never-
170.
Well, no, because we've read 3.
This is our
Four.
Now we're
third one we've
just-
gotten to.
Now
4?
we're adding.
Aoashi, Silent Voice, Monster. Oh wait,
That's it.
Yeah,
No,
what the fuck
never
was the
mind.
fourth one?
Sorry. I thought we did 4.
Um,
My bad. It was the fucking Scarlet Vagabond that I was thinking of, but that was just my indie recommend.
Oh yeah, your indie recommend.
uh,
If we're going off those metrics, I've got 11 more to add.
I also have another one that I read the other day.
Oh, another indie. Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
not obviously.
Keep it in
not
the
this
pocket. Keep it in
episode.
the pocket.
Yeah.
Keep the viewer
you
guessing.
know what? I'm not gonna add one. I
Okay.
can't find anything.
Said hi to you.
Listen, I'm gonna be real. Out of all of these, I really want to start One Piece, but
Bruh.
I want
Let's
one
hear the
that's not
rules.
like.
Wait. Let's.
Oh.
All right. Jaden? Which one do you want out of all these? Ochi the Rock.
I mean,
Ochi the Rock would be amazing.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
Listen,
I want
that,
For Your Eternity.
I love that show.
Fair.
You know what? Probably
I feel
either
like
Hunter x
to your-
Hunter
That's a
or
great one.
GTO.
Also a great one. There's some bangers. To Your Eternity, I feel like is still so fresh in my mind that I wouldn't. I'm rolling, by the way. I wouldn't be like super inclined to go back and.
Oh my god!
Mob Psycho 100.
Oh! Oh my god!
I thought we were gonna get 20th Century Boys.
I thought we were gonna
Oh.
get 20th Century, dude. If we got 20th Century Boys, I was gonna pop off. Like actually, I'm so
Warning: get
Monster,
phone users.
I'm so interested to read that. I've just been holding off because it's on the reading list.
Well, good thing I have the first volume of Mob Psycho.
Yeah.
I own the first volume, then I'll read the rest of it on. Shonen
Probably
Jump.
Viz or something. Yeah.
There's only 14 volumes, so this one should be a lot quicker and may even be done in a few weeks.
So this one we'll just
there's
read
only
all the way through.
101 chapters, so yeah. There we go.
Well,
we took about, I guess, our interest in Monster led us to doing the episode a lot earlier than we thought we were going to. And I think we set, what was it, 3 weeks for that one?
how many chapters was Monster? It was more than 100.
It was 160.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like way more.
But I think we said a month. Or like
we finished
almost a
around
month.
3. We can do 3 weeks for Mob.
Yeah. So basically, when Rematch releases,
thumbnail for Mob is gonna go so crazy. Like I can already see it.
But the question is, what? Actually, I was gonna say, never mind. I was gonna say, do we use a bunch of color, or do we do the question mark Mob where it's all black and white? But we already have the Johan one, so I feel like a colorful cover or thumbnail.
We should get Bento to do the. I was thinking Kareem was gonna. Whatever. I was thinking Kareem was gonna do it, but Bento's style would go really cool with the black and white Mob. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll get multiple done.
Yeah, that'd be
fun. Well, we start the Mob Psycho. Bye, Aoashi. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, it's like the Andy clip of him dropping. What do you mean? I don't want to read you anymore.
Oh hell yeah. Well, listener, thanks for joining. If you have any other things you want to hear us talk about for Aoashi, I'm sure we'll bring it up in the future. Like I said, I'm gonna still keep reading it. I think, even if it doesn't go back up on the list, I want to see it through to the end now that I've started it. So, maybe in passing in some future episodes, I'll share my thoughts on it. But, until next time, have a good, everybody. I lost the guys. I'm gonna be real. I don't know how to shut off Craig. Okay.